Let's go to Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal now, where a local school in the area was badly damaged by torrential rain 2 months ago. The Mfundo Senior Secondary School suffered extensive damage, with the roofs of several classrooms completely destroyed. It was among 186 schools damaged by the storms in January. Shortly after, the provincial department said it was hard at work to repair the schools. To see if the department has indeed delivered on its promise, eNCA's Lethiwe Mdluli is in Ladysmith. Let's cross to her live now. Lethiwe, just as these schools and Ladysmith in general was trying to recover from that torrential rain, there was more flooding, which we spoke to you about yesterday. Has this affected the recovery efforts at the school?
Well, some of the schools that were affected back in January have been now reopened, and they are at full capacity with pupils and teachers back at the school. Uthugela districts back in January had 6 schools that were damaged by the floods. Most of those schools were in Ladysmith because that's the area that was mostly affected. At the moment, we are in Nazareta in Ladysmith, just outside Mfundo Secondary School. This, of course, was one of the schools that was damaged. It had its roof blown off by the strong winds and the heavy rains that took place in January. I was speaking to the principal earlier on and just asking if the Department of Education has actually visited them and tried to rebuild some of those classes that were affected. And the principal was telling me that they have had the Department of Education officials visiting them over the past 2 months, but unfortunately the school remains the same. I'm just going to ask my colleague Sihlengiti to show you what those classrooms that were affected look like. So as you can see from your visuals that the roof is still not there. The building or the rebuilding of those classrooms at Tefuma are still, there's nothing basically. And the principal was telling me that some people from the government were also coming here to the school over the past 2 months, where they were making assessments. And one thing that the Department of Education has provided, though, is that they've provided mobile classrooms, and those 2 mobile classrooms that they've provided have been much help for the school, because the principal was also sharing that since these classrooms were affected, the grade 8s were the most affected, so they were very overcrowded in those classrooms. They had to make use of desks and put put 80 learners in one classroom at a time. And because of that, the Department of Education has now provided them with 2 more classrooms, and they've been able to separate those learners. But the principal did say that they need more help. They requested about 4 mobile classrooms at first, but only 2 have been made available to them. Of course, I'll be speaking to the Department of Education a bit later on. I did make contact with them yesterday to get an update as to what is the department doing. They did say that they'll be getting back to me a bit later on today, and I'll have more information about their efforts, if there are any, a bit later on, and I'll, of course, update you on that.
All right. Lethiwe, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. That was eNCA's Lethiwe Mdluli in Ladysmith, KZN.